Yeah, what's going on, everybody? Around the bones and shaking the cage, around the cage with Val.
Hey,
good, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead, Val.
Hey, Chris. I just want to say hello and salute to all the veterans listening today, all across the country, all across Michigan, Kentucky, and all the other states. Listen.
Don't forget. Yeah, go ahead.
I was watching your promo, and it was on the cold cases and stuff. Who is the retired law enforcement officer on that?
That'd be me.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, that looks interesting. That looks very.
It is very interesting. Very interesting.
Very
so we
nice.
got Crazy Witch, Catherine. Welcome to the show. Welcome. Yolanda, how is Yolanda doing? Let's see what else we got. Liana, welcome. Tess H, hello there. Welcome to the show, mate. So what we got in the show today, Val?
Well, we got me. I got me. This is after the
me, myself, and I.
Me, you, and everybody here listening today.
We got Russell. He just slid into the rear, Easterbrooks. So
I would
welcome,
really,
Russell.
Mr. Russell, I would really love to have him aboard here to chit chat. That would be an interesting chit chat.
Russell, did you just hear that? You want to come on the show, Russell? He's like, me? Huh? Who? Yeah, you, Russell. All I had to do is send you a link, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
So, Russell, you want to come on the show and chit-chat?
We had some wonderful chit-chat. We had some wonderful chit-chat going on.
Let's see here. We get Mr. Russell on the horn here. He's probably thinking, do what?
I seen his post. His posts are very, very interesting.
Came today. He's got other things going on. But, it was interesting. Is right before the show, I got a message on one of my messages, right? Mm-hmm. And I put out in a local tri area because I'm back in town. And I was like, hey, is anybody out there in the paranormal field? I'm looking for some investigators to maybe go out with me and maybe do some spook hunting, right? I didn't call it spook hunting, but I call it ghost investigation. I didn't want to say Bigfoot right away because I didn't want everybody to be like, what? But anyway, so I threw it out there, and this admin of this, I ain't going to say what group, newspaper organization replied back and was like, I already did a posting on it. And I'm like, huh? And he sent me the link. Mm-hmm. Well, I read his post, and his post stated this. Well, here, let me read this verbatim. I just have to, because this drove me nuts, right? So let me go back and let me read what he said. And let me read his post is what I'm saying. Now, of course, I go to find it, and I get so much messages and notifications, it's awful. Let's see here. Oh. And, okay, here he goes. He says, there is a post I made concerning the same topic. Ladies and gentlemen, here is my post. Hello, my name is Chris Schlager. I go by Grizzly on my shows. I'm looking for a few people in the area that are interested in getting together to go on some ghost investigations and dive into the paranormal field. If you're interested in learning more or becoming a part of Grizzly's team, please send me a PM with your info. We'll also be doing live shows with other paranormal groups from around the world. If this seems exciting to you, please reach out to me to discuss this further. I'm looking at all candidates and all possibilities for this team and for the shows as well that I do. I look forward to hearing from you. That is what I put out there in this social media group news channel platform, right? So this guy, I'm sorry, I don't usually run over anybody on the bus. Hey, hello, Facebook user, how you doing? He replies back, there's a post I made concerning the same topic. And I was like, did I miss something? So he was nice enough to give me the link. So I clicked on the link, and the post was made 5 hours ago. Now, that's 5 hours ago. So that would have been 1 o'clock my time. So that would have probably been about an hour or two after I made mine. His post states, anyone here interested in paranormal, extraterrestrials, etc. Now, where in the hell does that say that what you want to do and your intentions?
Mm-hmm.
So I replied back, the curiosity got the cat. And I said, dear sir, I'm looking for people to go on investigations and do some shows. I do not see your post stating that. Are you looking for people? I only asked who was interested. And I thought, you know what? At this point, I am not dealing with a full box of crowns and a Happy Meal that's short of a couple of chicken nuggets. I better stop while I'm ahead. And your camera went out again. There you go.
Yes.
I mean, does that not make any sense, Val?
Not at all.
So
No.
I don't want to embarrass this guy. I don't want to make myself look like a kabuka hooga hooga butt, rubbing somebody's face in the dirt. But, I asked a specific question. You asked if anybody was interested in topics. I asked people to go out and do some investigations and do some shows. He asked if anybody was interested in the topics. To me, that's two different questions.
Now,
I guess he's hurt.
Did you notice the news media company that he was with?
Oh, yeah, I sure did.
A lot of these news media people are butthurt because the real news is the internet now in a lot of aspects. And there's a lot of issues going on the street when they meet internet people that are publishing on the internet. They see a threat. Let me just ask you this. Have you ever read the journalist ethics? That's pretty interesting.
No, I have not.
It's pretty interesting.
Now, I had to remind several people that are in law enforcement about the law enforcement ethics.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to rub it in their face. And how dare them that they disgracing their officer in Facebook in public like that. And I told them I'll directly go to their superiors in their department and show them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm that guy. If you got a qualm with somebody because you're making yourself look like an ass, you do it behind closed doors. Mm-hmm. How dare you ever call somebody out like that in public? Hey, people sometimes can't type. Sometimes people may say things that you may take it the wrong way. But the public humiliate somebody and do a lynching, mm-hmm. I am not down with.
No, it's a lot different now, Chris, when we're sitting back and we're looking at this from the outside looking in. And, we can make and draw opinion from what we see. And a lot of it, what I see, I shake my head at, this is what I was in. This is what some of the stuff I'm just absolutely puzzled by. But it's,
ladies and gentlemen, back in our days, another department had a problem with you. They would call your department like, hey, calm your boy down. Mm-hmm. That's what they would do. But I tell you, it's different.
Or somebody would get a call, come over here and pick up your soldier. and take them back
Yes,
home.
sir, Mr. Russell.
You know?
Yeah. Absolutely. But I just had to read that because right before the show, I was texting him back. And, it takes a lot to get me going. And it's like, dude, are you trying to do something that I'm trying to do? Because, we're in different counties, and I went to the surrounding counties area, not only mine, because I thought maybe there'd be some people bored, may want to go hang out in the cemetery at night and do some things, and maybe that'll lead into some of the things that I want to do because I'm not going to go out in the woods by myself anymore. I already told you that. And we done been told not to go out in the woods no more by myself. So go ahead and laugh. Go ahead and laugh. Hey,
Boys telling you like it is.
You don't know. You don't know. The other night, I went out to take out trash. Now, I said I went out and snuck. Well, snuck, whatever. It was 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I got a long driveway. And as I was lifting up that dumpster list, that trash can lid, I heard a bird whistle, and it was a very loud whistle. As I stopped to look into the woods across the street, another bird whistled behind the house, and that scared the hell out of me, and I was gone.
What time of the night was that, Chris?
1:30, quarter 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, you got birds up that early over there in Kentucky?
Yeah, I sure do. They're like, yeah, here comes Grizzly. Everybody's taking up the trash.
I don't think so.
Why do you think I ran to the house as fast as I could?
Mm-hmm.
So people go ahead and laugh. That's right. Hey, Robert Fulton, how you doing there? Give you a round of applause joining. But yeah.
In the city, I used to watch people when they walk their dogs. Even when I was driving around early in the morning, I'd see people walking their dogs with great big sticks in their head. And you never know when you're approached by something out there. I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about animals. And I know I ran into a coyote one night. I didn't know it was a coyote. It was the first time I seen a coyote in the city. Are you kidding me? I thought it was a German Shepherd. Luckily, I didn't go over and try to pet it. But the way it was it was one of those rainy, cold nights, and there were no calls. And I really didn't want to get out of the car. It's cold. It's wet. I didn't want to put a raincoat on. But Mrs. Kravitz, you remember Mrs. Kravitz from that movie Bewitched? She always had the curlers in her hair, and she was always taking care of everybody else's business. She apparently a half a block away, she was outside getting some fresh air, and happened to notice that there was a dog barking in the distance, and it bothered her. She happened to see my dome lights on in my car idling, and she called dispatch, and she says, I want a officer to go out there and see why this dog is barking. Well, the dog is out in the field. She wants me to walk out in the field in the dark. But I said, I don't see a dog out there. I'm in the location right now. I don't see a dog right now. But this happened 2 or 3 times. She called back. The officer's over there. He's not doing anything. I hear a dog, and I'm thinking to myself, go to bed, lady. Go to bed. You won't hear a dog. Really, you're in the rain, and you're listening to a dog bark. So let me go to bed. You won't hear it. That's it.
Wow.
So I did get out, and I did take a flashlight. I went out there and looked, and it looked like a coyote had a black cat or a dark colored cat cornered at a fence, and it was going to eat it. It was just circling it, and I told I'm out there, and I told the dog, get out of here. And then the dog started acting peculiar. It started circling me, and I looked at this dog. And it wasn't a dog. It was a coyote. Now, the coyote didn't like me getting in the middle of its dinner. But, I didn't have to shoot the dog. I didn't have to shoot the coyote, but,
Well, that's good.
I told the coyote, I says, "You bite me, you bite me." I said, "You're dead here tonight. That's what's going to happen if you don't get hit with this stick, this baton." You know, we carried those expandable batons.
Yeah,
About
asp.
Yeah, an asp, and they're very heavy and they hurt. And I
What
said, if
color
you,
was yours?
it was
Black.
black.
Mine was
Hmm.
mine was chrome. I wanted you to see the damn thing coming.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Hey,
Uh,
in the sunlight, boy, did it gleam like mirroring glass.
there was something about the click when you flick your wrist and it
Oh
expands.
yeah, oh yeah.
It was one of those party pleasers. So you know, I got the cat out of there. The cat lived another life. The dog lived. The coyote lived, and I was happy. But you know, you see a lot of different things at night that you normally don't see it during the day and stuff. And I've seen some pretty big coyotes that I swear it could have been a hybrid wolf or hybrid coyote, a mix, very big. But you know, when you have those in your community, when you start seeing these signs pop up all over the place, these missing dogs, these missing pets, cats, dogs. I've seen coyotes running with cats in their mouth, little dogs in their mouth. But you usually see them. You usually see them, in people's trash and stuff. But I sat and watched. I sat and watched because it was, I was doing surveillance. I sat and watched four coyotes devour a deer in a matter of an hour, less than an hour. It was done.
Oh
It was
wow.
all over. I mean, it was gone, gone. Poor deer, but vicious, vicious. I've never
Yeah,
seen anything
Yolanda.
like that.
Imagine seven of you standing in a circle, and I come a walking. Everybody else has got their ass out, and I do a flip of a wrist, and it's like, hallelujah, hallelujah, and you're like, damn, this guy must be special. His is a different color. I got your attention real quick. That was my point. But anyway, sorry, I had to. They're over there in the side chat laughing about my ass. That is AS as in Sam, P as in Paul. Just in case anybody's listening. But yeah, no, they do devour animals very quickly.
Hmm.
So that's for sure.
So
So
I again, I was looking at your promo. It was a little different, and uh, you actually go out to the cemeteries. Did you say?
yeah, absolutely. I got my little REM pods. I got one of my EMF detectors. I got my little cat balls that I tape down. You have not watched my other shows with my haunted dolls, have you?
I no, I haven't.
Yeah, I've got dolls that jump out of my hands, that jump off my studio desk, that commit suicide. Oh yeah, haunted vessels. Yes, it's crazy. It's something else. So yeah, I like to do other things. So hi Luna, welcome to the show. But I just wanted to throw it out there because there's other things in the community, other people in the community, that I have to travel a little distance, 30, 40 minutes to hook up with, and I've got stuff not even 8 or 9 minutes from the house.
Mhm.
So I thought, well, maybe there's some people that are, like to do a couple little things, maybe a couple times a month, and maybe do a couple of shows with the other people I do shows with. So somebody texted me like, maybe he wanted an application. What are you trying to do? Get me banned off his news channel app already? I just joined. So,
It,
huh.
it's odd and peculiar that somebody would approach you like that. It's almost as
It
though
is.
they were offended that you had the nerve to post something like that when they just posted that 2 hours after you did.
Right, right. But he didn't ask the same question. I didn't see the post
Mhm.
because
Well,
a lot of people would have just added on to his post and be like, "Hey, if you are, come see me." That's what a lot of people do these days. They don't
mhm,
write their own damn post.
mhm.
Now that aggravates the fire out of me. Write your own damn post if you want to know something. So have you seen that a lot? I see that a lot.
Well, I write a lot of posts, and I base a lot of my posts on my findings, my research. What what gets my goal is when someone takes that post and puts their name on it and goes to another media format and uses it as their own
Oh yeah.
words.
Oh yeah. Right.
That's what really bothers me about this whole. And this, quite frankly, this opens up another topic subject that I have to say. Do you know that I've received threats about these databases? Have I ever talked to you about that before?
Yeah, yeah, you sure have. That's crazy.
Um, you know, I had to disengage myself with a number of people in Michigan because of the nastiness. This is very competitive to a lot of people. And when I started out, it wasn't an easy decision to get involved in this. Number one, because of my name, and because I was involved in politics. I was, people knew me, knew my name, and quite frankly, I didn't want my name associated with Bigfoots and that kind of stuff. So it wasn't an easy decision to step into the fray. When I had my encounter and sighting and stuff, um, I don't know about a lot of people, but for me, I couldn't keep that quiet and keep it pent up, and I had to share that with a few people. And before you know it, it's all over the place, and there I am. There's my name. Okay, Val, come and talk about this. So what I did was I migrated my experience, my skills over to Bigfootery. Whatever I learned in the professional side, I migrated that into Bigfootery. And I think a couple times on this show, I had been showing your listeners, you know, the 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 magnitude of some of these databases and stuff, and it's pretty thorough. And um, to this day, I have the largest Michigan Bigfoot database in the state of Michigan by far, and that's not good to some people because they want that. They feel that I should take that database or databases and plaster them up on social media like a free for all. And I've had disagreements with people in the past about doing that kind of stuff because a lot of people are looking at the revenue side of that of Bigfootery. They want to make money.
Of course.
They want to develop apps for Bigfoot mapping. They want to know where these sightings are at and put it up there and sell it. And you pay the money and you can go see and blah blah blah. And I'm not into that. I'm not into that. I just
Yeah.
I don't have any interest in that. When
So, I talk about you in your data miner profile and what you do to people. And I also talk about that one guy that keep calling us white man. You remember him? I still can't. I remember his name, but I don't think I can remember him. He white man. And I'm like, damn. I'm like, well, he's got the right to call us out. I mean, what am I going to say? No. But anyways, I mean, they know so much and they won't tell us.
you know, there's been a couple times there's been a couple of times on the group site where, number one, I don't want people. Um, um, I don't want people antagonizing other people. I don't want them um, calling people out of different ethnicities or races and stuff. I don't like that. I don't. I've seen a lot of that stuff, Chris, in the course of my life. I've seen a lot of that stuff. Well, by the way, look at my dark eyes and dark hair, if you can see it.
I can't see Jack. You got a hat on. And I shaved my head and dyed my beard to jet
My
black. So what the hell?
part of my ancestry goes back to the state of Texas, and my last name. You'll see my last name as participants in the Alamo. Some of my ancestry were there. And as a result of that, today in Texas, there is a county with my last name, I guess, in honor of that participation in the Republic of Texas. And as a matter of fact, because of that bloodline that goes way back, um, there was the first naval ship of Texas was named after my last name. That's a fact. That is a fact. And I really, really, really would like to see, the U.S. Navy, Department of Navy, name a ship, a frigate or a frigate or something after that last name in honor of that. But
That's pretty
anyways,
neat.
yes, in the grander scale of things, um, in a time when we all came from Europe of some sort, um, there there's a part of Spain that has a breakaway people that don't see themselves to this day. They don't see themselves as Spaniards. They see themselves as a separate identity. My ancestry goes way, way back to the time when we were all Europeans, and when they came to the Caribbeans, which uh, hundreds of years ago was called Hispaniola, Upper and Lower Hispaniola, meaning those Caribbean islands that we recognize today as Cuba, Puerto Rico, and all those other all those other little exotic islands around that area that link up to South America itself. In a time when religion played a big role in the world, there were major superpowers. There was Great Britain, there was France, there was Portuguese. This was way before the United States became a country. These were the major powers of the world, and they fought. And there was a time when people were run out of Europe over religion, and there was a choice for some people. Some people sought gold. Some people sought wealth and fame. But for a lot of people, poor people, the only way to flee that old world ideology and ideations was to volunteer and jump aboard these ships and go across the oceans to explore new worlds and stuff. And that's how a lot of people got their breaks and got out of there. And so one of the stopover islands was Puerto Rico. In Spanish, it means port of riches, and that was the depository for a lot of different countries, from Africa, from Europe, even China and India. Everybody came to those little islands and that little island to swap spices and in food and rice and things that we normally don't see in this part of the world, materials. And even the Spanish would stop over there. And Spanish, by the way, by their people, they're light complected people. I'm considered light compared to some of my relatives who are very dark complected. But to the Spanish, they because of their stopovers, they met and intermarried a lot of black people from Africa, and now you have Puerto Ricans and stuff like that that are dark complected people, and from there a lot of the conquistadors and the explorers went on from Cuba, Dominican Republic, and Haiti. They went on to North America, or United States, where we're at. They explored Florida, Louisiana, all across the South, and halfway up the country that we know today, and even out to California. And they expanded out to Mexico, Central America, and down in South America. But each one of these places, they ran into different indigent Indians, such as the Aztec, the I don't know. There's Aztec and Mayan and the Incas. These are different Indians, and each time that they did this, they were looking for their silver, they were looking for their gold and stuff, and that's how a lot of I think a lot of indigent people came here. Plus, there's a lot of Asiatic people that crossed the Bering Ocean that filtered into North America, into the United States as we know it today, and they intermingled and intermarried, and you get these fantastic surnames down in South America, in the heart of Latino countries and stuff, with Jewish last names or Spanish surnames, but they're Jewish people and stuff. So even Chinese names for or Chinese and Japanese surnames for Latino people, because there was a great mix of people, different cultures and stuff that happened during that time. But it's pretty interesting. And so even the Spanish had a hard time dealing with the Apache Indians and stuff like that. But even today, when I talk to my friends who are Native Americans, I ask them, I says, how come there's so many Spanish surnames, with Native Indians and stuff? Well, it's just life, Chris. You just intermix and intermarry different people and stuff, and that's the way it is. But when I have people in my group, I remind them, I know it might be acceptable to you to talk about white people and this kind of people or that kind of people, but not here, please.
I didn't say. He's the one that said it. I didn't say it.
No.
What am I supposed to do? Hey, calm down. I didn't want to interrupt you. I didn't want to be rude.
No,
I mean, hell.
My friend, and we've had him on the show, Richard Taylor. Now he's Native American too. You wouldn't know it, but he is. And he understands, you just, that to me, when a person talks like that, they're creating lines and stuff and polarizing people. And I don't like that, bro. I don't like that.
Right. Now, Russell does. Grizz, you scare me. Sorry. Russell Easterbrook has a question. He wants to know how many calories Do you think Sasquatch or Bigfoot has to eat a day?
Well, as a
I'm not a
man,
nutrition.
as a
Well,
as a man,
I know a man. I know how
yeah.
many calories I'm supposed to eat. But
How
what
many are you
about a
supposed to?
Bigfoot?
How many are you supposed to? Well, you and I might eat differently, but I try to keep I try to keep under a
What,
thousand
14?
calories.
I'd say 1,400 or less is what I was going to say for you.
Yeah, I try to, and I'll try to keep under that. Um, but you're talking about something that's most of them, a lot of them are very, very big, very large. They use strength, brute strength. It's going to burn calories. Plus, uh, aren't they omnivores? They eat vegetable and meat, right? Red meat, and the meat that they eat probably is high in protein, very, very high in protein. Um, so they're probably eating an exorbitant amount of calories, and they're probably burning an exorbitant amount of calories too. So they're constantly replenishing. So when you heard about that Dr. Miller document, Grizz, have you ever had a guest on that knew anything about that or spoke about it?
Yeah, so evidently there's two Dr. Miller or documents floating around. One is a half version, the other one's a full version.
Mm-hmm.
So there's one that's cleaned up for the public somewhat, and somewhat's a full fledged all the way to the floor version.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't seen both versions. So depends on metabolism. But I mean, you think something 6 to 8, 9 foot tall? I mean, it's got to eat quite a bit.
Well, yeah, it does.
Now, I'm not a nutritionist by any means, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm not going to sit there and try to devour each grub or each worm, whatever it does eat, or each stem or root and deer or moose or elk or whatever it does. But it's got to be a lot to be something that big and muscular.
And then there's reports of them eating McDonald's scraps and stuff.
Yeah, out of a dumpster.
Yeah, from the
Well,
from the
there went
dump.
that calorie count. You know how much a Big Mac is? It's over, what, 2,800 calories, all right?
And French fries.
Yeah, French. Don't forget the shake along with it. So, yeah.
Mm,
But I mean, really, I have no idea. It's got to be a lot.
it's a tremendous amount. A tremendous amount. So
So, yeah.
so when I look at this database, I look at the carcasses of animals, and I look at the vegetables, the plants and stuff that they eat. Supposedly, I've seen a lot in my research. I've seen a lot of reports that Bigfoot Sasquatches avoid um, cabbage. They don't like cabbage because of the gas. Um, but they'll eat most anything else. They'll clean out the gardens for people.
Yes, I know that. I hear that quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. They talked about mayhew berries. Are you familiar with mayhew berries?
Berries, yes. Mayhair, no. Are those the berries that grow out in the wild? I would assume that you see parts of the country.
Yeah, somebody down somebody down south might be very familiar with them, and supposedly they grow a lot in the swamp areas where snakes inhabit. And but old colonial people used to go out into the swamps looking for mayhew berries because they'd make jams out of them, out of the berries, jams and jellies and stuff like that. But in one of those missing 411 episodes, I think I think mayhew berries were mentioned. One of these individuals disappeared, or they were found, and I found that interesting, very very interesting. So Um, a lot of Bigfoot Sasquatch activity occurs around swamps, marshlands, and swamps. And I wrote a thread about Sasquatches uh, ambushing their prey around swamps and marshes in areas where they can submerge themselves, wait for their prey to get close to the water. A lot like those documentaries from Africa that we see where the crocodiles submerge themselves and wait for their prey to get close to the water
Right.
and spring on them and snatch them. And it's all over after that. There's reports where, um, and the reason why I say this is because there's reports of uh, carcasses have been found, on the ground, and they also noted tracks from deer or cows, whatever, that got close to the water, and um, then they've seen the large Bigfoot-like tracks around the area, so they deduce that the Sasquatch submerge himself underwater, wait for the prey to get close, and then spring on them in an ambush style. So, and it kind of makes sense when I look at and review some of these missing 411 books, where a lot of these incidents occur or end up around swamp areas. It surely does. I see this. But again, Pallades didn't come to me and ask me what I thought about it, but um, and I didn't offer it. So
Interesting.
that's my take on it. And that's a lot of what I do as I look at these reports, analyze them, and look for patterns, look for repeating patterns that happen over and over again. So,
It's interesting. I never thought about it. Seeing a Bigfoot submerge, that would scare. That
mhm,
would even make it worse.
mhm. Oh, I've got lots of reports of Bigfoot's underwater. You got people swimming in water. I remember as a young kid, long before um, the idea of Bigfoot ever entered my mind, uh, where a lot of teenagers got together, and there might have been a quarry or something, and I mean, there'd be so many teenagers around there. Some people would swim. Maybe some of them would drink beer. And then one night, uh, one of the one of the boys that was in the group, he drowned. He drowned. And so when I think about these things, I think about uh, what I'm about to tell you about the Sasquatches swimming and approaching boats and swimmers and stuff like that. There's a report where a lady was, I don't know, she was in some lake in the woods, swimming, having fun, frolicking. And she swears that all of a sudden, a big hairy arm grabbed her legs and was trying to bring her underwater. And it frightened her so badly. So badly. I don't know if she ever got back on that inner tube again. And it was enough for her. And then, of course, there's other reports of people on boats, fishermen in particular. There's a lot of reports by fishermen and boaters where they'll tell you, yeah, we were boating along, and all of a sudden, we see a log floating on. Well, we thought it was a log in the water, and then it went underwater, and then all of a sudden, our boat started to rock back and forth from underwater, and we had to get out of there. Another one says Another one says, yeah, we were boating along and we seen debris or something. We thought it was a plastic bag just floating in the water until this hairy man, stuck his head up above the water and now they realize it's not a bag, it's not a log, it's a live living individual in the water, and they're trying to capsize the boat. So lots of reports like that. But fishermen, probably over 1,000, maybe close to 2,000 reports by fishermen. That's a lot of reports by a certain group of people. And this is men and women both, professional fishermen and enthusiasts and just people out trying to catch an easy meal and stuff. They're reporting this. So
wow, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And again, looking at the missing 411 books, and I think I said this before. I bought 4 of those books. I won't buy any more, but I bought 4 of those books and read them front to back several times. And in there, there's several accounts in there involving missing people on ATVs. The 4-wheel
Right.
toys that we take out. And interesting enough, in the database, from the stuff that I see, the stuff that I research and stuff, people on ATVs have a high number of sighting encounters also. They do.
Are they just startling them, or are they just running across them fast? Or
it seems like most of the cases, and I'm thinking this. I think for sure any kind of noise draws their attention. Some people that I've talked to, when I run this by them, they say, "Well, Sasquatch loves the chase." Like any creature, they love the chase, and the ATVs are there, and they move fast. The Bigfoot Sasquatch is up for the chase, and they'll chase alongside of it. In the missing books that I've read, there's instances where an individual goes missing. They were out on their ATV. Their ATV is there. Their ATV is found, but the individual's gone. And they know that the ATV sat where it was idling until it ran out of gas. So that is the mystery that befuddles people.
Yolanda wants to know what's the best book to read about Bigfoot that you recommend?
Well, those books by Place, the author's last name is Place, Place. Bigfoot's all over the world, or something to that effect. Those are pretty good. I know that the author has shared a number of the accounts that he has researched or she has researched, and some of those when they start talking about Sasquatch, robotic Sasquatches and stuff like that, it sounds a little science fiction. Sounds a lot like science fiction, but some of them are pretty good. I've seen reports from Michigan where it kind of crosses into infrasound and burning rubber. There's a lot of reports of people reporting before they encounter Sasquatch, and your UFO community people would love this because the witnesses a lot of times will remark that before they had an encounter, they smelled the odor of burning rubber, or they hear the sounds of creaking metal. They see a UFO, and then they spot a Sasquatch. Somehow, sometime in short order of one another. Burning rubber, a UFO, lights. They hear the pounding metal or creaking metal, and then they have this encounter, and then they seem to have lost their sense of time, or they recognize that they were outside when they see this, and when they wake up, they're in their bed, but they got mud on their feet, telling them that, yes, in fact, I was outside, but somehow I'm back in the house again, asleep. So those are kind of strange things. But one of the things, the one report out of one of those Pallady books that I've read that I kind of sit back and take notice of, only because it kind of runs parallel to what the author Place had said, Place, in his books. He or she was alluding to robotic type Bigfoots, which opens up another conversation about, are these real, or are these from another planet, like some people had suggest? And I'm believe me, to your listeners, it's not me saying this. I'm telling you, I'm sharing with you what other people have said. But in one of those incidents that Pallades mentions, there was an incident where a young boy went missing, and he happens upon a cave, and he claims, I guess he told the authorities this, he claims that he's seen inside that cave, he's seen what he thought was his grandmother, his long past grandmother, and he felt secure with her. She spoke like his grandmother, she acted like his grandmother, and he felt that that was his grandmother. And he was saved because all he wanted to do was go home. But inside that cave, according to that book, it said that he's seen all kinds of purses and shoes and personal belongings of people that were all dusty inside that cave. And when he started to question the purported grandmother, he said that he or she, whatever it was, became disturbed and upset, and it started stuttering, and like a robot, like a confused robot or something, computer or something, like an AI. It couldn't handle those questions. It wasn't ready for those questions. It wasn't programmed to answer emotion and answers like that. And somehow, he finally got out of there and went back to the area where the SAR teams could find him, and they took him back to his parents, his people, and stuff. But a lot of times, I've noticed in those incidents that a lot of these people, victims, men, women, kids, whatever, they were unable to speak. They were unable to speak, and they could not tell anybody where they've been, how they got there, or anything. So the question is infrasound real? I happen to believe it is to some extent. To what extent? I'm not prepared to answer that question because it's out of my grasp of understanding. I do know what I felt in my personal experience, but to read on paper within four corners of a page, um, somebody describing their own experience, yeah, it sounds very, very similar and very real to me. So um, it's the whole thing, the whole Bigfoot topic is very, very strange, people. Very. There's a lot of twists. There's a lot of turns. Just when you think you got it all figured out, you really don't. It's just bigger than us. It's bigger than the universe. It's big, very, very big.
No, and nobody knows the truth, and we're all speculating. That's the
Mm-hmm.
thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the key with anything is we don't have the facts,
Mm-hmm.
and we're trying to correlate everything and put everything together like you've got with all your information, and try to find a pattern to try to figure things out. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what we try to do. Val, do they pick and choose just random? I don't. Yolanda, what do you mean? Do they pick choose random? You know what that means, Val?
Well, Grizz, Pallades has mentioned in some of his publications that as far as patterns go, he says that there seems, or he alludes to the fact that there seems to be a certain group, a certain sector of people that always seem to go missing, such as the sick, the lame, the lazy, and the infirmed, or very, very young. And generally speaking, yeah, that's a group. I mean, um, but it happens. It happens to young people, strong people, people that are very, very adept and smart, outdoors people, people that are capable of surviving out in the outdoors. It happens. It happens all across the board, but a lot of times it seems like the people the people that need to be protected the most are the ones that are selected first. A lot of times. Here's another thing that I found very, very interesting. It's an observation. There's no test, there's no peer review. But what I found when you look at these missing books and read them, I'm curious about the reaction, the response, and it seems to me that the people with the most money, like that old metaphor, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. The people with the most money that can afford to pay people, to hire people to go out and search for somebody that went missing, the more activity that is drummed up, that is stirred up. I'm talking about aircraft in the sky. I'm talking about horse mounted people. I'm talking about volunteer boots on the ground. I'm talking about vehicle activity. I'm talking about motion, communication, excitement. The more people that you have responding to a SAR, a search and rescue or search and recovery situation, the chances of finding a individual alive is greater. Which, to me, I see Sasquatch culpability and complicity all over that. I see red flags all over that, uh, and for a couple of good reasons. If I don't want if I don't want my family, my clan revealed, I'm going to do what I have to do to get that human being back where somebody can find them, so these people can stop traipsing through our area here. And but the misfortunate thing about this is the poor people, the people that don't have a lot of money or a lot of influence, that won't get the same reaction out there looking for them. They're gone. They're just gone, and you likely don't hear from these people again. That's the way that goes. Um, somebody, Grizz, I've heard this from a couple people now, and they've mentioned this to me. They said, Val, how come you only put the bad stuff? How come you only put the Bigfoot violent stuff up? Well, I didn't see it like that, but I guess if that's what you're looking for, then uh, that's what it is. So recently, I posted a thread showing with a scale showing the difference between aggressive reports and Good Samaritan reports. And let me ask you, which do you think was greater?
Yeah, I wonder on that one.
Mm-hmm. Well, the reason why Val does that is because, if there was more Good Samaritan acts, more acts of kindness and divinity, then I would put them up. I would show them. I've always been in the professional side, both military and civilian side. I've always been. I always recognize myself as a democratic leader, one that was willing to roll up his sleeves and get in there and help my workers to get the job done. But on the other hand, I would want my underlings to share the bad news too, not just the good news. I don't want to hear the good news, because you can't grow and you can't plan for the future if that's all you hear is the good news. You want to hear what the downside is. You want to hear what the upside is, and that's part of development, and that's part of growth, and that's the reason why I do what I do. But if there was more Good Samaritan acts, Bigfoot Good Samaritan acts, I'd post them. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to hear, it's nice to know, but um, quite frankly, I don't see it. I don't see it.
But you got to believe.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. These
I
days,
don't know.
people talk about, well, so what is? So what if they go out there and eat my cow? What do you mean if they eat your cow? One cow. Have you been? I'm thinking to myself, have you been to Myers lately? Look at the price of steak. uh, I don't know what it is in your region, but my gosh, uh, you can't get a steak for less than $20 a pound. But that steak, that cow, that beef, you're talking about a whole beef. It costs money to raise that. It costs money to feed it. It costs money to care for it. And to a farmer, to a cattle rancher, one cow, one what do they call those? They're not cows. They're not dairy cows. They're beef cattle. One of those individuals,
Right.
from that livestock, that's a hit on that rancher, on that farmer. And farmers aren't rich. It's a very dicey business. It's tough, and there's fewer of them these days. Fewer of them.
Yeah,
So
we're growing meat in petri dishes, ladies and gentlemen. Why not?
mm-hmm. And chicken, when these individuals go after chickens, and they love chicken, They love chicken. When they go after chicken, they they don't go after just one chicken. They'll go for 6 and 7, 12 of them at a time. One witness was very, very upset. They got into my chickens and they carried and they were plucking the chickens as they were leaving. They had arms full of chickens and they were plucking my chickens as they were leaving. And somebody, the sheriffs or somebody up, half mile away from my place was reporting feathers a half mile up the road. Chickens all over the place, dead chickens. And this guy is fit to be tied. But this happens a lot. I would say when I look at what Sasquatch eat, and of course they eat plants, water lilies, that you see in the marsh and the swamps. You see those. You see wild onions. You see the berries, the mayhews I mentioned before, the cranberries, crab apples, and stuff like that. But when they eat tons of deer and elk and moose and everything else that's out there. But they like the livestock too. They like horses, mules, donkeys, llamas. People have llamas. They love all that. Goats. Oh, don't leave a goat out there, and they smell a goat for a long distance. And people love, people that raise these animals. Even the farmers and ranchers, a lot of these people, I didn't realize this before, but a lot of these people look at their livestock as these are their pets, these are family. It's not just a commodity, to be bought and sold. But a lot of these people are so in love with their creatures. These are pets, and they hurt when something gets in there and destroys these animals that they raise from infancy. So I would say deer, the number one choice on a dinner plate. I would say chickens are the next biggest thing. I would say sheep are very big, and of course dogs. Poor dogs take a heavy hit by Sasquatch. They really do. And I don't know why it is like that. Maybe it's because dogs are so loyal to us. To a fault, they're loyal. And I can't tell you how many reports that I've seen where people sick their dog on a Sasquatch. No, people. Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. That's just the wrong thing to do. But dogs by the hundreds, Grizz, by the hundreds. Cats, not so much. Yeah, lots of cats too, but not so much as dogs. Dogs are just overwhelmingly killed and eaten. And, just because, and so badly damaged that they have to be put down. Just because they do what dogs do. Dogs protect their owner, their home, and but it's pretty interesting.
It is. That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Go
ahead.
Out in the Florida areas, the Everglades and stuff, there's been reports of Sasquatch. I mean, there's reports of campfire embers. Somebody was making a fire, and somebody was eating alligators out there and wild hogs. And I don't think too many people will venture to go out in the middle of the swamps like that. The remote swamps and like that.
I got a team in Florida that just goes out in the swamps, and I think they're crazy.
But do they
go where it's low tide? Yeah, they wear boots, wading boots.
They walk out there,
and they go out when you can't. Then they go out in the marsh. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, with snakes and critters and everything.
And
Yeah,
there's all
I
kinds of
mean, yeah,
snakes out there, creatures
yes.
out there. Well, it's a very, very interesting study to get into. It's a passion. Once you get involved in it, it's hard to get out of it. So,
Yeah, it is. It really is.
very, very
So
interesting.
what? And it never ends. That's the key, So what we got going on for next week?
Well, I'm hopeful that Justin Decker will come in. You know who he is.
Mr. Decker. Yes, sure do.
And maybe we can get Russell in here at some point so we can discuss these mounds, these Indian mounds and stuff. But I know that he likes to talk about that. But, when I was chit-chatting with him, it was a very, very interesting conversation that we had going on. And then later hopefully we're going to have Chad Carter come in here and chit-chat with us.
There we go. That sounds like a winner to me. Yeah, Chad Carter, that'd be a good one.
And if your listeners know, I'm still looking for a BFRO guy to come in here, or woman come in here. Don't be afraid.
Good luck on that.
Mm-hmm.
I think you scared them all off.
Mm-hmm. I don't
So,
know why. I don't know why.
I have no idea either.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. But, hey, we'll see what happens next week, ladies and gentlemen. That's a wrap. Yeah, from coast to coast around the world, Val. I hope everybody has a good weekend, what's left of it. Tonight, tune in. We're talking about the Vatican. Woo! It's going to be wild.
Get your garlic
topic.
out. Get your garlic and crucifix out. Mm-hmm. All right, brother.
I got my crucifixes and my holy water.
Mm-hmm.
I always come prepared. But yeah, we'll talk to you, Val. Take care, brother.
Thank you, my friend.
Ladies and gentlemen, y'all have a good night.
Toodaloo.
All right, Godspeed, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Bye-bye.